At the end of the day, technology is great, but it's not technology for technology's sake. It's ultimately driving some kind of business need or requirement.
Welcome to the Global Experience. Get ready as we take you into the dynamic world of customer service and collections.
You will gain access to the secrets of success in the world of customer and employee experience through conversations with keynote speakers, industry mavericks, and CX and debt collections experts and influencers.
Let's get into it.
Sawubona, welcome, and hello. Today we welcome a long friend of Newton. With over 30 years of experience in IT, telecoms, and service delivery, he is a seasoned leader renowned for his expertise in building high-performing teams and leveraging digital technologies to drive major business transformations. Currently serving as the VP of Customer Support at Intercom, today we welcome to the Global Experience Declan Ivory. Welcome to the show, Declan. How are things going today?
Hi, Bryce. Hi, Nat. Great to be here. Things are going well. It's always busy in the world of customer support. I call it kind of a relentless environment, but always a very good environment. So, as always, there's lots of problems to be solved in customer support, but always a good thing.
Yeah, I think this is quite unique for us because usually we either speak with someone who is part of a technology vendor, so that's selling like a SaaS product or a technology product, or we speak to a leader in customer experience, like either an influencer or someone who's leading customer support. I think this will be, if not the only case, where you're kind of doing both, where you're part of the vendor, but you're also running a customer support team.
Yeah, it's one of the unique aspects of working for Intercom because I get to use the exact same technology that the customers I'm supporting are using. So that's quite a unique position as a customer support leader. We feel the exact same pain that our customers feel. We know the exact kind of problems that they encounter on a day-to-day basis. But it does mean that we're a very credible voice of the customer back into our product teams as a result of that. We get to experience firsthand exactly what our customers experience. And I think that's, probably the first time in my career that I've been in this very unique position where we're actually using the exact same technology that our customers are using. As I say, we can be a much more viable voice of the customer back to the rest of the business.
Yeah.
That's a good fair enough.
Yeah. Okay, well, Declan, we want to learn more about you. You've had an impressive career spanning over 3 decades in IT and telecoms. We want to know some highlights from your journey and what initially drew you to the field of customer support.
Really good question. So maybe I'll start at the beginning. So when I left school back in the 80s, great decade, great music. I actually went and studied electronic engineering. And when I finished my engineering degree, I had to kind of make some decisions like, did I want to kind of work in very much a pure technology type role, or did I want to kind of a more customer facing role? Now, as it turned out, I decided to go work for IBM, which was very much in a customer facing role as a systems engineer. Now, why did I enjoy the role? Like, people ask me, what did you learn in electronic engineering? And I kind of say the key skill you learn in any engineering kind of discipline is actually problem solving. So this systems engineering role in IBM was all around problem solving for customers. And again, it was actually working directly with customers on a day in, day out basis, which I loved. Like I love being able to help customers day in, day out. So that kind of set me on the path where I knew I wanted to work with customers, whether they be internal or external, and I knew I wanted to solve problems. So almost naturally, I gravitated towards customer service, customer support, where it's all about solving problems and making life easier for customers. And I love the fact that when you deal with customers on a day-to-day basis, you really get to understand their pain and why they're having problems using your product or your service, etc. And then you have the opportunity, as I say, to help them and make life easier for them. And that's very fulfilling. So I think what gravitated me towards it is a very fulfilling role. It leverages problem-solving skills, and you're dealing with customers day in, day out. And ultimately, every business depends on its customers. We are only there because of customers. And sometimes people forget that in business, and sometimes, people are very focused internally in terms of managing a business. And for me, I always want to be kind of driven by the customer and led by the customer. And that's why I think I ended up almost for my entire career in some form of customer service, customer support role, where, you have to interface with customers day in, day out and really you understand what they need and make sure that you're delivering for them.
Yeah, I think what's also interesting for me is obviously customer support is very people driven, very people
Yeah,
focused. You're dealing with people every day. It has its pros, it has its cons, right? And then you go the other side and dealing with technology, it seems somewhat of a different environment. How do you um, like almost mold those together to
yeah,
like thinking about, because I mean we're a primary people focused business
yeah.
that's bringing technology into it. You guys are a technology focused um, company, but also a people focused company. How do you like mold the two together to make sure that you are giving the best of both worlds?
Yeah, I mean, it's an interesting challenge. But at the end of the day, the technology is being used for some purpose, and typically there is an end user of that technology. So again, if you look at the technical challenges that you're trying to address through the lens of the customer or the user of that technology, that I think bridges that kind of potential gap or that potential tension there. And that's the way I've always approached it. Like, even when I've moved into more kind of technical support roles, supporting technology, I do it through the lens of this product or this service or this technical platform is serving a customer somewhere, whether that's an internal customer or an external customer. But I always look at it through the lens of what's the customer experience. But yeah, the technology itself is really interesting. And I have examples in my career where I've had some real opportunities to look at innovative technologies. For example, when I was in the ISP as part of a telco that I was working for nearly 13 years, it was at the time when there was broad adoption of internet services, moving from dial-up to DSL, etc. So lots of opportunity to delve down deep into the technology. But the most interesting challenges or problems that I had to solve with the technology related to how the customers were using it or setting it up or implementing it. And when you're looking at the problems through the customer's lens, it actually meant you came up with much better solutions, from a technical point of view. So at the end of the day, technology is great, but it's not technology for technology's sake. It's ultimately driving some kind of business need or requirement. And ultimately, there is a customer of that product or service or technical platform. And I've always tried to look at it through the customer lens or the customer focus.
I love that because it's so easy to use technology just for technology's sake,
Yeah,
and not have a clear purpose for it, not have a clear outcome for it. So I think having those two blended together, because you guys are seeing both sides, sets you apart from a lot of your competitors, I'm sure.
yeah,
But I know Intercom of late has done a big rebrand.
yeah,
A big, even the website looks completely different. You look at the website, you wouldn't think it's a technology, right?
absolutely.
It's really beautiful. But
Yeah,
there's also been a vision, like almost refresh of AI
yeah,
first customer experience. Uh, what does that mean, and
yeah.
why is that important?
Yeah, so what does AI first mean? So maybe take a step back. So even prior to the time that I joined Intercom, I was very interested in how you could apply technology from a customer service, customer support point of view. And in particular, like AI, ML for many, many years has promised a lot, but delivered very little, right? And even kind of 5 or 6 years ago, I wrote a paper called "A Day in the Life of a Support Engineer," kind of 5 years time, and I'd made assumptions around how capable AI would be within that time frame. And a lot of the kind of AI specialists said to me, "Yeah, you're probably right. This is possible, but it's not going to happen anytime soon." Then all of a sudden, we had this kind of major change, whatever it was 18 months ago with ChatGPT, generative AI. And all of a sudden, the possibilities in terms of how you could apply AI were made a lot easier to kind of grapple with and implement. That I think has been the groundbreaking piece, and where we can now actually talk about an AI first approach to customer service, customer support. Because with generative AI, you have the ability to implement this technology in a way that is very customer friendly and customer focused, and it allows you to do things that you just couldn't do before. So the AI first approach is really saying that when you think about the customer service task or the customer support task, why wouldn't you think about applying AI to that task upfront? AI first comes in three kind of flavors or components for us. One is the AI agent. So the way you interface with your customer is the first thing you need to think about. And with generative AI, there's the opportunity to actually transform the way you deal with your customer. Like everyone has had the experience of chatbots in the past that were pretty clunky, not really very intelligent, despite the AI label, right? And it wasn't really a great customer experience. But with large language models and generative AI, all of a sudden the ability for an AI engine to talk to a human is kind of almost, it's on steroids compared to what it was before. Like all of a sudden that interaction is much more natural, much more flowing. And again, it means that you can actually genuinely have an AI agent talk to your customers, and it feels natural and it feels like it's actually a good experience. So AI agent is critical in terms of that conversational interface with customers and the ability of the technology to now provide that conversational interface. Then the ability of the technology to actually understand the problem or the question that the customer has asked, then answer that question in a way that makes sense for that customer. The reason why I say for that customer, like at the end of the day, an AI agent needs to have access to information, knowledge that's relevant for your business. And I think this is where one of the misconceptions comes in about large language models and how they're applied, particularly from an AI agent point of view. Like if you just rely on the underlying large language model to answer the question that the customer has asked, it's highly likely it won't be able to answer it because one, it probably doesn't have access to the information that's relevant to your business, right? And you're actually then allowing the large language model to use any information that it has at its disposal to answer the customer question. So the whole concept of hallucination and inaccurate information is actually a real concern in that environment. With AI agent, and particularly our implementation called Fin, we've actually, and I use the word very deliberately, we've constrained the information that the AI agent can use to answer the customer's question. When you constrain it to information that's only relevant to your business and your relationship with that customer, you're dramatically increasing the probability that you'll get an accurate answer for that customer. You'll be able to deliver it and answer that question, via the agent as opposed to someone having to come through to human support. So that the AI agent there is absolutely critical in terms of that customer experience, but also the ability to take data and information that's relevant to your business and actually answer and address the customer issue up front. The second layer is AI Copilot. So at the end of the day, no matter how good the agent is, you're not going to be able to answer everything via an AI agent. You will want more complex questions to come through to your human support team. Or in fact, you may have that as a kind of a preference for some customers. They may want to talk to a human rather than talk to an AI agent. In that case, what you're doing with AI Copilot is enabling the human support team to provide the best experience possible for the customer. So now the AI Copilot has access not just to the external knowledge that the AI agent has access to, but also to internal knowledge within your own business. That it's probably sensitive. You don't want to make it available publicly, but you do make it available to your own internal team. So rather than the team having to trawl through a lot of different data sources internally and externally, all of a sudden Copilot is looking at all those sources of information and presenting to the support agent, here's the likely best answer to the question that the customer's asked. And it'll identify all the sources that it's pulled the information from. It'll even go through past conversations or cases that you've had with the customer and present to, not just that customer, but across your entire customer base, present those and say, hey, a customer had a similar question, here's the answer that was provided. And all of a sudden you're empowering your human support agent with all of the information that allows them to make the right decision around the answer that's relevant for this customer at this point in time. And yeah, they can cut and paste the information, they can massage it and change it based on their own knowledge and understanding of this particular customer. It's really empowering the human support agent in a way that hasn't been possible prior to the kind of generative AI technology that we're seeing today. And even in our own instance where we enabled Copilot for our team, like I was really surprised, because particularly some of our more experienced people would kind of say, well, I kind of know all this information already. I don't really need to rely on a Copilot to guide me. And even our most experienced people are saying, no, actually, the Copilot surfaces information that one, I may have forgotten about because it's a long time since I touched this part of the product. Or it's thought about an avenue that I hadn't thought about in terms of trying to answer this customer's question. So even for our most experienced people, they're finding value in Copilot. The real proof for me was at one stage you wanted to do an A/B test around, okay, we'll take half the team, we'll disable Copilot, we leave it enabled for the other half of the team. We wanted to look at kind of productivity differences and the way they worked. Yeah, the really startling thing was the people that had Copilot taken away from them started complaining straight away. Like they said, why do we have to be the people that have it taken away from us? Can we not be in the other cohort, that still has access to Copilot? Then when we finished the A/B test and we kind of opened it up again, the positive feedback from the team, oh, thank God, I've got access to Copilot again. And that for me was better proof of the benefit of Copilot than any metrics ever. Right? Because if your human support team are really motivated by having access to technology, and they feel it's helping them give a better experience for the customer, that for me is the biggest proof that this is working more than any metrics. Right? Yeah, metrics are important, but the sentiment of the team in using technology is pretty critical as well. that's the second leg of kind of the AI first approach. And the third leg is what we call AI analyst. So at the end of the day, in your support business, you want to be able to understand as much as possible around what's happening for your customers. You want to be able to make sure that you're looking at trends, that you're looking at insights, and you're feeding them back into the rest of the business, whether that's to the product team, whether it's even within your own support organization in terms of how you might want to optimize processes, or how you might want to look at upskilling your team because of skills gaps identified. Trying to do that at scale prior to the generative AI technologies we have today was pretty challenging. Whereas now it's actually possible to look at every single conversation or case that you have with a customer, analyze it, and extract data from it and insights from it. And that's the third leg. It's that AI analyst leg where you're actually driving your support business in a different way. But the combination of the three, AI agent, AI copilot, and AI analyst, is what we basically, it's our AI first approach. And the way I kind of position it is, like, you should really ask yourself, why can't I use AI to solve whatever the problem is in customer support? That's your first question. Now, clearly not everything is going to be driven by AI, but AI first is a mentality. Like, why can't I do it in AI? And underlying those three components, then we've got a kind of a core platform that has access to knowledge, access to data, as well as core capability you would expect in a customer support environment. So we basically, built the environment from scratch with this concept of AI first. So we haven't bolted on AI. We've kind of re-engineered our systems to really be AI first and make sure it's a fully integrated experience across the customer, across your team, and across the managers and leaders who have to run support. That's been a really kind of fascinating journey as we've kind of developed this AI first strategy and approach. And as components of it are delivered by our team, we get to use that technology first. Like Copilot is a good example, or Fin when it was launched last year. And that's really exciting for my team and really exciting in my role, because as I say, we get to experience technology the way our customers are going to experience it, or the way they do experience it when we launch it. We are learning a lot as we implement this AI first approach. And it's great then because we can engage with our customers and we can talk them through, well, here's what worked well for us, here's what didn't work well. So at the moment, because it's such a new world, like, we're only beginning to develop best practice and thought leadership in the space. And what I say to customers is, like, you have a chance to go on this journey with us and help us develop best practice and thought leadership, because there isn't a playbook for this. Like, it's not as if you can take a playbook and say, here's what a customer support organization has been doing for the last 10 years with AI. No, like, organizations are only beginning to try out AI. So there's an opportunity to really define best practice in this area. And that's the exciting part of this journey as well.
Okay. So of those three, which is the most exciting to your team? Would it be Copilot?
To the team, Copilot probably has the biggest impact on their day-to-day work in terms of how they interface with customers. Yeah. But interesting enough, they love AI agent, right? Because AI agent takes out a lot of the mundane repeat work that really doesn't motivate a lot of support people, right? And I think that's the bit that people miss. Like, at the end of the day, yes, it's taking some work out of the system in terms of your support team, but it's the work that the team actually don't want to do, right? Like, they're tired of answering the same question in the same way, and as much as they might try to automate it out, generally doesn't always work as well as you want. But with AI agent, all of a sudden you're taking out a lot of that mundane work, and what you're leaving then for the team is work that is far more fulfilling and far more rewarding. Like, we're understanding that we need to hone problem solving skills within the team more than we might have done in the past. So troubleshooting skills are really critical. Deep knowledge of the product or service is really critical as well. So we're upskilling people constantly. So we're having to think very differently about how we run our support business. We're thinking differently about job profiles and skill levels, thinking differently around how we hire into the future. That is really exciting as well. Like, it's not a case that you're making a minor tweak to the way you deliver support. With AI, you're actually transforming the way you deliver support. And you've got to think about a lot of things that you may not have thought about. Even like how you do capacity planning in this world is different, because all of a sudden, like, your average handle time is actually going to increase in this world, because you're taking out all the low hanging, fruit, and you're left with the more complex transactions or interactions with your customers. That means, intuitively, average handle time will creep up. Now, you can tune it down with things like Copilot, so there's kind of tension there as well. So it's really interesting to see how these technologies are working together, how they're influencing some of the assumptions you had in the past around average handle time, and that leads to different views around capacity planning. And also, you want to move from a support operation being considered a cost center to being considered a value center. So one of the key things that we're encouraging the team to do, and they're loving the opportunity, is if you're dealing with the more complex issues for your customer, there's opportunities to go beyond the actual issue they have right here, right now, and begin to be more consultative with your customer. So we're actually seeing some of the lines between customer success and customer support actually blur, because using AI, we're enabling the team to have a little bit more bandwidth to spend time with customers and think beyond the current problem. And again, this is what we're also getting the team to think about. Just don't look at the transaction in front of you. Think about, where's the customer on the journey? How mature are they in terms of using the service? Again, things like AI Analyst will surface a lot of the information as well and make it available to the engineer or the support rep, so they know exactly how the customer is using your product and service. So all these technologies interlink over time, and actually it's almost like a flywheel impact. Your human support team are having far more impact on the customer when they're dealing with them. And also that team, we challenge the team as well. What I say to the team is, think about it, that the first time you answer a question ideally will be the last time you answer that question. Because you challenge yourself, like, why wasn't AI or automation able to answer that question for the customer? Is it because we were missing a piece of knowledge? And if we create that knowledge and feed it back into the system, that should then, handle that question the next time it comes up. So getting that kind of continuous improvement mindset in place is really critical. And again, things like AI Analyst will begin to surface some of these kind of trends and insights and information. And actually, you're not then solely relying on your human support team to surface where you might need to generate new knowledge or new content, etc. And that's the other thing that I probably should have mentioned even prior to this. Content and knowledge is absolutely critical in this new world. Like, it's not about the AI technology, and it's not AI for AI's sake. Like, you have to have a very clear reason for why you're implementing AI. But the AI technology is only as good as the content and knowledge it has access to. So I talked about constraining AI to use data that's relevant to your business, but the data has to be good. And even stuff like your knowledge articles or your FAQs, you got to think about how you structure them. Like, a good example is, a human can read an FAQ and like the answer might be yes or no to the question, right? If an AI engine reads an FAQ and the answer is just yes or no, you're actually leaving a little bit of ambiguity there, and the AI engine may not answer the question correctly if it's a simple yes or no, right? Whereas you're very precise. If you say, can your product do X? And you say, yes, the product can do X in the answer, AI will read that in a much better way, the higher probability of it delivering the right answer. Again, thinking about your content and knowledge is something that a lot of people don't even consider when they think about implementing AI. And it's probably as important, maybe even more important than the actual AI technology itself. Like, you really got to get your content and knowledge correct in this world.
So I want to ask Declan, I know you mentioned Finn, your AI bot at Intercom. If you had to explain the ultimate goal of Finn to someone that has just entered this technology world, this customer experience world, how would you simplify it? How would you explain it?
And also, what is Finn, actually, for someone who doesn't know what Finn is?
Someone that hasn't actually done research on Intercom.
So Finn is the brand we have for our AI agent. So it's an agent technology that deals directly with customers. And we brand it and call it Finn, and it has its own little icon, so customers know they're conversing or talking to Finn. Like, we're very upfront. We say, you're now talking to our AI agent. But Finn is the brand we have for it. So how do you describe Finn? So the role of Finn is using the knowledge and content that you make available to it to answer as many customer questions on first point of contact as possible. Right? So if the customer asks the question of Finn should be able to provide the answer. That's what you're trying to increase all the time. The number of times that you're involving Finn. So we have this concept of Finn involvement rate. What percentage of your customer queries can you actually front end with Finn? Right? And again, that could be dependent on the channel it comes in on. It can be dependent of the nature of the subject matter, etc. Because not every subject matter might be available to Finn, for example. So again, you got to think about, or there may be a customer segment you may not want available. But we're all the time trying to drive up involvement rate of Finn. And then the second metric is the resolution rate of Finn. So was Finn successful in answering the question for the customer? Again, we're trying to drive that as high as possible. So in our own case, like prior to Finn, because we had some automation and we had a technology called Resolution Bot, which was an early kind of AI bot technology, we were seeing maybe 3 to 7% resolution rate. We're now seeing 45, 47% resolution rate with Finn. We have a pretty complex technical platform to support. So even with the complexity of our platform, we're still seeing pretty high resolution rate. And again, with pretty high involvement rate as well. That's how premise of Finn. Finn should be able to answer the question first time for the customer based on the knowledge and content that it has access to.
Got it. Got it. So, I mean, what I got a lot from what you said, Declan, is that there's many ways to use AI, but three are probably most relevant is the AI agent, the co-pilot, and then the AI analyst, which some
Yeah,
people, AI analyst that'd be the speech analytics, like really getting into the voice of the customer, feeding it back in, with
yeah,
the co-pilot being that augmenting an agent function, and the AI agent being that first line of defense, right?
yeah,
Um, First line, let's talk AI agent and its impact that it will
yeah.
have on customer support teams globally. Will we see all of Intercom's customer support being handled by an AI agent in the future? What impact do you think this kind of technology has on the contact center world?
Yeah, so a couple of interesting things there. I think over time, this technology will advance in a way that it almost becomes in a kind of a tiered support model. It's almost like your default tier one support, right? And tier one support will probably disappear for very large organizations, right? And your team will then be focused on more tier two, tier three support. You know, I think that's kind of almost inevitable that happens, but it's not necessarily a bad thing because that tier one support generally may not add a lot of value, and it's kind of work that people generally don't want to do anyway. It's pretty mundane. So that will disappear over time. I think the technology itself will advance where it won't just be answering questions, but it will actually be taking actions on behalf of the customer. And it'll also be using data in a more personalized way. So it'll actually personalize answers based on data that has available to it from your business systems. And it'll also be able to integrate with your business systems and take actions. That will increase the scope of what an AI agent can do as well. It won't just be about answering questions, it'll be about taking actions and using data as well to personalize both the answer and the action on behalf of the customer. And that will again increase the scope from an AI agent point of view. So what does it mean for contact centers? Every contact center in the world struggles with hiring where they don't have kind of an AI or an automation technology, because as their business scales, they need to scale out the team normally to the same degree. Double your business, you double your support team. Organizations that struggle. I struggled in my career hiring at the rate that makes sense based on the growth of the business that I was involved in. And there's also a huge amount of attrition in support as well, that people will tend to do it for a short period of time. They'll get opportunities within your own business or outside your own business. There's a constant churn in the support world. And that churn will stop, or certainly be decreased, may not stop fully, but it will be decreased dramatically with AI. Because all of a sudden the work that does remain will be more fulfilling. You're actually able to scale your support capability without having to add, the same dimension of humans into the mix. So it's allowing scalability of businesses. In some cases, allowing business to operate in a different way. You think about a small business. If they want to move from just providing business hour support to providing 24/7 coverage or providing multilingual support, that's a big challenge when you have to rely on humans to do that. And again, it can be very difficult to get humans who want to work on social hours, or you got to set up a global team, which has implications as well. And all of a sudden, you can go 24/7 with an AI agent, right, without having to invest in any additional human support. And for whatever percentage that agent can resolve, whether that's 40, 50, 60, 70, 80% of questions, they are now answerable 24/7 and probably multilingual as well, without you having to expand your team. So I think this is where the impact will be. Teams will not have to expand in the way they would have expanded in the past. And all of a sudden, you're enabling the human support team that is there to add a lot more value back to the business, because they're not all the time seeing the level of attrition and churn that we would have seen in the past. They're not kind of being burnt out by mundane work. They're actually having time to look at insights and understand what's happening on behalf of the customer, and they become a more viable voice of the customer back to the business. That's where I think the whole dynamic of contact centers and support teams will change. It was very much kind of moving from a cost center to being a value center, and roles will be far more fulfilling for people. There'll be different skills they'll need. A good example is like we've hired in what we call a conversation designer. So you've got to look at, if you've got an AI agent in the mix, and then you're probably handing over to an automation there, and then you're finally handing over to human support. How do you look at that conversation end to end, and how you design it so that it is as frictionless as possible for the customer? Because one thing about an AI agent is, if the AI agent answers the question, you've taken all friction out. Like, the customers had their question answered up front. If the AI agent doesn't answer the question, straight away you've actually introduced some friction into the process, right? Because then they got to say, no, I've got to talk to a human. So what we're trying to do all the time is make that handover from AI agent automation to human support as frictionless as possible. So you're maintaining as much context as possible. You're adding value at every point in the conversation. So that by the time they get through to the human one should be the person who has the exact skills required to answer the question. So, for example, in our case, we do skills-based routing once Fin is finished. So we make sure that if, for example, the customer is asking about our inbox capability, it goes to an inbox expert then to answer that. So again, that's taking some friction out from the customer point of view. They don't have to go through a further triage process with a human before they go through to the expert. But you got to think about that very intentionally, and that's why this conversation designer role came in. Like we actually think about walking in the shoes of the customer and actually going on that journey with them, as it's handed over from AI agent automation to human support. It's a fascinating world to look at because there are things that you think might work well with customers. Then when you actually put it out there, customers say, no, it doesn't feel right. I don't like this. And we're constantly tuning then based on customer feedback. And again, that's a role that didn't exist last year, right? And our own team are getting more involved in knowledge creation and knowledge curation as well. Like all of our team will build knowledge articles, or even at the end of a conversation, we have this ability where AI will come back in at the end of a conversation and say, hey, I'm summarizing this kind of conversation. Here's the question the customer asked. Here's the response you gave. Are you happy that's accurate, in terms of the customer question and the response that we gave? And if the agent says yes, that what we call snippet of information gets fed back into Fin as information that's available to Fin to answer the question the next time around. So there's this kind of process of continuous improvement, continuous augmentation of the knowledge, etc. And again, people need to be skilled in that, and they need to be given time as well for that. So all of a sudden, you're looking at a different mix of what we call time in the inbox, directly handling customer questions, versus time out of the inbox, which might be focused on this knowledge management. It might be contributing to analyzing some of the insights that are being surfaced by analysts, etc. So it's a different role that's evolving for our team going forward. But that customer experience piece is critical, and being able to map out the customer journey and the conversation with the customer, and constantly tweaking and tuning it, because what's good today won't be good tomorrow. Like customer expectations are increasing all the time. The technology is improving. You got to make sure you're using that.
Yeah. Declan, what is your prediction for the Ireland South Africa rugby game next month?
Oh, is this one of these rapid fire questions, or is this just?
That's it's coming next. Rapid fire after this question. Just warming you up.
Yeah.
Okay. My heart says I'd love to see Ireland win. Right. My head says that unfortunately it's unlikely. I think we're in a period of some rebuilding. We're missing a couple of key players. I think South Africa are in a very good place at the minute, in terms of the cohesion within the team. Obviously, we're away from home, so I think it's a big challenge for the Irish team. I think they will be two close matches, but my head says we're probably likely to lose both matches, but they'll be pretty competitive.
I'm excited. I'm really excited. I think that's going to be from the World Cup. There's just going to it feels like the competition hasn't died down. There's still that like intensity. But Natalie, over to you.
Okay, so we've got 5 questions ready for you. They rapid fire questions, so no time to think and Google and everything. So we'll see how you do. Yeah, it's only 5 questions. There might be one that you might have to look up if you cannot remember, which is okay. Cool. Are you ready?
I will do my best to answer the questions.
Cool. Declan, what was your first job?
My first job was as a butcher's assistant.
Okay.
In a butcher shop.
Cats or dogs? Okay.
Dogs.
Dogs. Okay. Would you rather travel to the past or the future?
Wow. I think I would travel to the past.
Okay. What is the last thing you Googled?
What is the last thing I Googled? A hotel in Sydney, because I'm going there on a business trip in September.
Okay. Last one. How is Intercom different from the rest?
How is Intercom different from the rest? Number of things. I think we have an amazing culture in Intercom, and we have an amazing ability to develop innovative products. We move at a very fast pace. I think we have an absolutely awesome strategy around this AI first approach and really building a customer support platform that has AI actually built in from the ground up, and it's a full solution for our customers. I think we got just an amazing vision around the possibilities for AI. As an example, we were the first organization in the world to announce a commercial product on GPT-4 when it was launched. So we actually announced the commercial product within a matter of hours of GPT-4 being launched. And again, that's just a sign of the innovation and speed that there is within this organization. So yeah, I know I'm biased. I work for Intercom, but it's the most amazing job I've had in my career. And it was the easiest career decision I ever had to make to come to Intercom. Yeah.
No, that's good. I enjoyed that when I asked you the rapid fire questions, you even started speaking faster. I don't know if you noticed that. I quite enjoyed that.
You had me
was like
nervous.
competition,
You had me nervous.
say less. I'm in.
I was like, I made you nervous. I was like, that was good.
Because when you asked me about cats and dogs, I think I said cogs first. No, dogs. I even mixed up
It's
the
the
two.
accent.
Yeah.
Cats and dogs.
Declan, thank you so much. It's been an absolute pleasure having you on. I think it's, as I said at the beginning, and I'll say it at the end, it's so unique having someone who is part of such an innovative company that's actually also managing customer support at the same time. And I think a lot of support leaders that we chat to every day, I think are grappling with some of the problems that you've already solved. So I think this podcast alone, I think will help a lot of people along their journey to an AI first culture, and also showcasing that AI is not going to scare away customer service agents. It's going to empower them to do more meaningful things, to provide them with access to more information, and to make their lives a little bit easier and make the customer journeys that much more slick and efficient. So thank you so much, sir.
Absolutely.
Really
well put,
it.
Bryce. Thank you for the time today. I really appreciate the opportunity.
Thank you for tuning in. We hope you had as much fun as we did and gained valuable experience insights.
Let us know what you think. Connect with us on social media and don't forget to like and subscribe.
Stay inspired, stay customer-centric, and know that the world of customer experience and collections is within your reach, the global experience.